Just a quick video tonight. As you can see, this is a, if you don't know, this is a 2013 BMW K1600GT. It's another line of, the whole K16 is a whole new line launched in 2011 alongside of the other touring models that BMW offers. The GT has a sister bike, the GTL. And what I wanted to do, and the whole purpose of this video, is I borrowed this particular bike from the dealer. They allowed me to test drive it, and I just wanted to see if I liked it, try it out, and also I thought I'd do a video on it. So, so that's what I'm just going to talk about. I'm actually going to do a comparison video, and that's what this is, a comparison video versus the RT, versus my own RT. And the idea is just to talk about the fundamentals, in this video anyway, talk about the fundamental motorcycle as opposed to all the gizmos it has on it. Because in my opinion, if you don't like what you're riding, and in the sense if you don't, the motorcycle itself, if it doesn't feel right, all the bells and whistles won't cover that up, or they will initially, but eventually you'll grow tired of the motorcycle. Some fundamental principles of the bike will not jive with your style or what you're looking for in a motorcycle. So so that's what this video is talking a little bit about, and to be more relevant to my other videos is to make a direct comparison to my RT. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's a rather short video, and what I thought I'd do is the reason I'm doing that first comparison video is because there's a lot of questions. If you run through the online forums, a lot of people who are considering a large bore BMW buying one are asking the question over and over again, which would you buy? Would you buy the GT or would you buy the RT? Okay? Because they're similar and they appeal to a similar crowd. But they are, when you do a side-by-side comparison, there are a lot of differences. So that question will be answered in this video from my perspective. And I'll try to be objective and try to be more quantitative as opposed to just giving my thoughts and feelings on things. In the second video, part 2, which I'll probably post in a couple days, we'll talk specifically about how these things are equipped, because there's a lot of confusion online. I was confused trying to follow online. If I read all of the motorcycle magazine reviews or the online magazine reviews, and also, even from BMW themselves, is trying to determine what's standard and what's optional from their website. It's very difficult, including the printed material. So I've done a lot of research in that regard, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in part 2. But part 1 here tonight, I'm just going to talk about the fundamental bike itself and how it compares to the RT. So to begin, I should give you some facts about myself, some of my measurements, okay? And more so than anything else is the height, my height. I'm measured myself here, my son measured me, I'm 5'11" and 3/4 to be exact. 6 feet when I stand really straight. If I slouch down at all, I lose 1/4 of an inch. So let's say 6 feet or slightly under 6 feet. My pant size from an inseam perspective is 33 inches, okay? I pretty much wear off the rack clothes, so I don't have any odd lengths. So when I sit on this particular bike with the windshield all the way down, it's identical height to where my RT is, okay? So if I compare the height from me sitting on the seat, sitting straight up as I would ride the bike, and compare the height of that windshield in its lower position, it's identical. If I raise the windshield up in its highest position, okay? It's also, now there's a little difference here, but that windshield is also, the top of that windshield comes right in about the bridge of my nose, okay? Or the tip of my nose is probably a better way. And that too is the same as my RT. This, however, has 2 wings, so this cutout in the center of the windshield, the windshield as a whole, on average, would be higher because it has these 2 wing cutouts that come up on the side. My RT does not have that, okay? So this particular bike, which is my segue into where I'm going with this, This particular windshield offers more protection than my RT windshield, okay? So what I found, driving this on the street and on the highway, and very quickly on the highway, I have noticed this one offers more wind protection, okay? I will say that the wind blast that comes over the top of the windshield at its highest setting, traveling in excess of 100 miles an hour, the windshield, 100 kilometers an hour, forgive me, which is about 60 miles an hour. The windshield, the wind hits me on the top of my helmet, but that wind blast from this particular bike is actually smoother than that on my RT. Now, if my RT was a 2010 and newer model, that is a slightly different profiled windshield, closer to this, I'm assuming the wind flow would be the same. Okay? So that's the same. On my hands, it is the same, even though this particular fairing is narrower than my RT. The wind blast on my hands is also the same. On my legs, cutouts are very similar, same sort of protection. On the upper part of my shins, it's the same. On the lower part, there is more protection on this particular bike. Okay? So overall net, this particular bike meets or exceeds the RT in every regard for me, for my height, in relation to wind protection. This particular bike, this particular model rather, also adds one additional feature that my RT does not have. It has two wind foils that flip out in hot weather. Those wind foils serve to open up large areas underneath the bulk of the upper fairing to channel air directly into my torso. Okay? And on the showroom floor, it appears to be a gimmick. However, on the highway, it is a godsend. Today, traveling in very, very warm weather, with a full jacket on like I always do, I was getting very hot. With my vents open, unless there's wind flowing through that jacket, those vents are useless. With these two foils opened up, it completely directs a blast of air at my torso. Now, they're either open or closed. Unfortunately, you cannot vary the degree of their openness. But wide open, the wind blast is similar to having no fairing at all. On your torso, however, from about your collarbone up, I guess, the same protection exists as it did before, whether your windshield's up or down. So it has no effect above here. So it primarily affects a blast from about your 2 or 3 inches above your navel to about your collarbone. It's going across the front of your jacket. Great feature, and I cannot believe, and maybe there are manufacturers, cannot believe BMW hasn't done something like that in the past, because it's very effective. It appears gimmicky, very effective. Okay? So all those comments, wind blast, very good. So overall, it would be, because it meets your, it's actually superior to the RT. Okay? The seat. The seat is slightly wider in the rear, and about the same, perhaps narrower, in the front where it meets the tank. The seat overall is slightly firmer and slightly thicker. And having driven my RT up this morning for 2 hours and then drove this one back for 2 hours, I would say this one, because it is a slightly newer seat, although my RT doesn't have many miles on it, so I might discount that comment. But generally speaking, I would say this seat is more comfortable for my butt. Okay? That being said, most people who buy these bikes end up changing the seats eventually. So take that comment with a grain of salt, and that shouldn't be something to determine whether or not you buy these bikes. A sidebar to my earlier wind comments too, a lot of folks end up changing these windshields to aftermarket windshields because they find, as good as I find them, they find them substandard. Okay, lifelong touring riders prefer to get their own windshields. They find a brand and a profile they like, and they stick with it, and they apply that on their different bikes. Okay, I like it, works great for me. That's good. The bike itself, as far as feedback and vibration and noise, the bike is much, much smoother than my RT. Although my RT, the vibrations are very, they're not obtrusive. They're actually, I like them. I find it adds character to the bike. There's, it's almost like a tractor rumble to it. Very smooth, not harsh vibration, very soft vibration that comes through the bars and through the pits. This one has none. And when I say none, I mean none. It is absolutely, you can hear the engine, and you can feel the tiniest bit of vibration through the seat at high RPMs, but there's nothing through the bars or pegs. Very comfortable, very smooth, almost turbine-like. No problem there. The weight of the bike, which is a fundamental issue for me, this bike is much heavier than the RT, period. Just noticing, moving and shunting it around here in the garage for this video, I did notice that the RT, where you could quickly flip your toes and knock it off its center stand and then walk it with very little effort around. This one's much tougher. This one's, you feel the extra 150 or 200 pounds, whatever it is. Once underway though, I will say that sort of disparity narrows dramatically, in that it only feels, when you're driving aggressively or even moderately aggressively through a twisty road, you really feels like there's only 10 or 20 pounds more than the RT. It's very slight, very slight difference there. In fact, driving very aggressively, or as aggressively as I would on a brand new bike that doesn't belong to me, on brand new tires, driving as aggressively as I would, I find this one holds its line when it's really hung over sideways. It holds its line better than the RT does. And the RT is surprising. It will surprise a lot of sport riders. But this one's that much better, that much more stable, and a long, sweeping, fast corner. This will actually hold its line brilliantly. One, which you should be able to do on any bike anyway, is to hold a line, drag a knee, hold a line with one hand off the bar. And this one can do it easily. There is a slight lack of feedback. I find the RT, I can feel the front end a little better when I'm riding aggressively. This one, I don't have that same sort of tactile feedback, but this one's smoother and much more stable, I guess, with any road imperfections. Okay. One thing I do notice about this bike, the shifting. The shifting is clunky, but very light effort, much lighter than my RT, and I find my RT very clunky shifter anyway. I think that's a traditional BMW thing. This one, I find it's easier to modulate that clunkiness by pre-pressuring the lever prior to shifting. In other words, putting pressure on that lever, pulling your clutch and then following through with the rest of the pressure to make the shift. That takes a lot of the clunkiness out. However, this one does have one trait I do not like, and I can't get around it, other than really modifying my riding style. Has a lot of driveline lash. I've had bikes with worse, but this one's bad. This one is where you let out the clutch and there's almost a slack that gets taken up before the wheel gets knocked forward. And then when you pull the clutch in, you can hear the engine knock off that lash. I'm not sure where it is. It could be in one of the U-joints, it could be in the gear mesh, or most likely it's in the cush drive in the rear, which most lash is. And it may have been engineered into the bike for one reason or another. I'm not sure. So it would take modification of my riding style to overcome that. Anyway, other than that, the power, now this is the sort of the final comment I'll talk upon. The power, the engine characteristics between this, aside from the vibration I've already talked about, this thing is absolutely nuclear power. Horsepower is very good at 160, but that doesn't tell the whole story. The torque of this inline six engine is just jaw-dropping. And I mean, I've owned the most powerful motorcycle, or among the most powerful motorcycle production bikes ever built, and I was always gobsmacked by some of their power, but this one is in a whole league by itself. And I can see BMW having designed this bike and making over the K1600 GT and trying to see how they could really stand apart from the crowd. They did it in the engine, and this engine is just it's a Clydesdale. It's absolutely stunning, and the torque is so great that you really, shifting is I'm being facetious here, but in a lot of cases there's no need to shift down. If you slow the bike down and pull the clutch in, you don't need to shift to grab some torque to pick back up the speed. You just slide the clutch out and pull away. The clutch is beautiful on this bike. It's a little tight, grabs a little quick, but it's incredibly light pull. I've never had a street bike with such a light clutch. I'm not sure how they did that. I'm assuming because it is a dry clutch, I think. That probably reduces the effort needed to engage it and to disengage it. But it is a very light clutch, and there's fantastic feedback in the clutch on the driveline uptake. Now that could be purely misconception of me feeling vibrations coming up through the bars, but I only seem to feel it in that clutch lever. I can actually feel the transmission grabbing. It's really neat and great feedback. So overall, the bike is fundamentally, the bike is phenomenal. And the ultimate question, which I'll close the video on and I'll answer it, the ultimate question is, would I choose this over an RT? Absolutely. Side by side, yep. It does everything my RT does, gives up a little bit of the weight advantage, which I really tout on the RT, but has so much more in all the other areas that it's hard to fault. Add to that, if you're buying one of these brand new, or you're considering buying one brand new, these bikes come with a 3-year unlimited mileage warranty. Additionally, you can buy in 6 more years after the expiration of the first 3 for about $1,500. So for $1,500 on top of the purchase price, you get 9 years of unlimited mileage, 0 deductible warranty. And that's quite impressive for a bike with this much sophistication, wiring, and mechanical bits. Overall, very, very impressive bike, and I can see why the motor journalists really flip over themselves. It's great. It's absolutely great. So if those kinds of things appeal to you, I tried to be as objective as I can. If those kinds of things appeal to you, this might be the bike for you. If you want something a little lighter, a little simpler, with a little more quirkiness built into it, the RT would be the bike for you. Anyway, until next time, part 2, we'll talk a little bit about the features. And I'm actually going to record it right after I record this one, so it'll all be familiar. Thanks.